Fail Forward, Transforming Fear into Fuel for Success. Chapter 1. The Anatomy of Fear. Defining failure and its emotional impact. Failure. The mere word sends a shiver down many spines. It conjures images of defeat, embarrassment, and lost opportunities. For some, it feels like a heavy weight pressing on their chest, for others, a persistent voice whispering, "You're not enough." But what is failure, really? And why does it hold such immense power over us? Failure, at its simplest, is the inability to meet an expectation. This expectation might be external, a boss's target, a societal benchmark, or a loved one's approval. Or it might be internal, your own goal, dream, or standard of perfection. Regardless of the source, unmet expectations trigger an emotional response: disappointment, frustration, sadness, or shame. These feelings, while natural, often snowball into something larger: fear. Fear of being judged, of losing respect, or of being exposed as incapable. This fear is not just a fleeting emotion. It can become a deeply ingrained pattern that shapes decisions, stifles ambition, and limits potential. Psychological and biological roots of failure anxiety. The fear of failure isn't just in your head, it's wired into your brain. Humans are social creatures, and for most of history, survival depended on acceptance within a group. Being perceived as weak or incompetent could mean ostracism, which, in a world of predators and scarce resources, was a death sentence. Although modern life has largely moved beyond these survival threats, the brain hasn't caught up. At the heart of failure anxiety lies the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. When you face a potential failure, be it a botched presentation or a missed deadline, the amygdala sends out signals of danger. This triggers the fight, flight, or freeze response. You might overprepare obsessively, avoid the task altogether, or freeze in indecision. This response is compounded by negative reinforcement loops. When avoiding a risk reduces anxiety, the brain learns that avoidance is a solution. Over time, this creates a vicious cycle. Fear leads to avoidance, which leads to stagnation, which fuels even greater fear. On a psychological level, failure anxiety often stems from perfectionism and a fixed mindset. Perfectionists tie their self-worth to flawless outcomes, leaving no room for mistakes. A fixed mindset, as defined by psychologist Carol Dweck, views abilities as static. Failure becomes a verdict on one's innate capabilities rather than a stepping stone for growth. The costs of letting fear dominate. While fear of failure may feel protective, its costs are staggering. Consider the opportunities you didn't pursue, the job you didn't apply for, the idea you didn't pitch, or the relationship you didn't nurture. Fear whispers, "Stay safe," but safety often means stagnation. Moreover, the emotional toll is significant. Chronic fear of failure can lead to anxiety, depression, and a diminished sense of self-worth. It can isolate you from others, as vulnerability feels too risky to share. Why understanding fear is the first step. To overcome the fear of failure, you must first understand it. Fear is not the enemy, it's a signal. It points to what you value, what you hope for, and what you dread losing. Instead of suppressing fear, acknowledge it. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen? Why does this outcome matter to me? What is the worst-case scenario, and how would I handle it? By naming your fears, you begin to take back control. Fear thrives in the shadows. When illuminated by awareness, it starts to lose its grip. This chapter sets the stage for your journey. Fear of failure is universal, but it doesn't have to define you. As you move through the pages of this book, you'll learn to transform this fear into a powerful ally, one that propels you toward growth, resilience, and success. Failure will no longer be a dead end but a stepping stone on the path to your greatest potential. Chapter 2. The Origins of Fear. Early life experiences and societal conditioning. The seeds of failure anxiety are often planted early in life. As children, we enter the world as natural learners, unafraid of making mistakes. We stumble as we learn to walk, mispronounce words as we learn to speak, and make countless errors as we explore new skills. Yet these early missteps are met with encouragement, not condemnation. So, where does the fear of failure originate? The answer lies in the subtle and not-so-subtle messages we absorb from our environment. As we grow older, the stakes seem to rise. School grades, athletic performance, and social approval begin to carry weight. A red X on a test paper or a missed goal on the field becomes more than just feedback, it starts to feel like a reflection of our worth. Parents and teachers, though well-meaning, can unknowingly contribute to this fear. Statements like, "You're so smart," or "You're so talented," while intended as praise, can create pressure to uphold a flawless image. Conversely, criticism like, "Why didn't you try harder?" can instill a fear of disappointing others. Over time, children learn that mistakes are something to avoid at all costs, planting the early roots of perfectionism and self-doubt. How cultural expectations shape our view of success and failure. The role of culture in shaping our fear of failure cannot be overstated. In many societies, success is narrowly defined by external markers, high grades, prestigious careers, wealth, or social status. Failure, by contrast, is often stigmatized, equated with incompetence or laziness. Consider the cultural narratives around success. Popular media often highlights achievers at their peak, but glosses over the struggles and setbacks that paved their way. Social media exacerbates this issue, showcasing carefully curated snapshots of triumphs while omitting the failures that came before. This creates a skewed perception: success appears effortless and failure invisible. In some cultures, failure carries an even heavier weight. Societal expectations may tie an individual's worth to family honor, community reputation, or adherence to specific traditions. In such environments, fear of failure is not just personal, it's communal. This adds layers of anxiety, as failure feels like letting down more than just oneself. Breaking down the cycle of conditioning. Understanding the origins of failure anxiety is the first step to breaking free from its grip. It's important to recognize that these fears are not inherent but learned. Here are some questions to help you reflect on the roots of your own fear of failure. What messages about success and failure did you receive growing up? Were you praised for effort or outcomes? How does your cultural or familial background shape your views on failure? By unpacking these influences, you begin to see that fear of failure is not a fixed part of who you are, it's a mindset shaped by external factors. This awareness is empowering because it means you have the ability to unlearn and reframe these beliefs. The cost of unchallenged conditioning. Without intervention, the conditioning around failure can have long-term consequences. Adults who internalize these fears often find themselves trapped in a cycle of avoidance and regret. Opportunities are passed up, not because they lack ability, but because they fear the potential embarrassment of falling short. The workplace provides a striking example. Employees who fear failure may avoid taking risks, stifling innovation and creativity. Leaders who are overly punitive about mistakes foster environments where fear thrives, and growth stagnates. In personal relationships, fear of failure can manifest as fear of vulnerability, preventing deep connections. Turning awareness into action. Awareness of the roots of your fear is powerful, but it's only the beginning. Here are steps to start dismantling these beliefs. Rewrite your story. Recognize that your early experiences and societal influences shaped your views, but don't define your future. Reflect on your life as a narrative, and begin rewriting the chapters that hold you back. Challenge cultural norms. Question the standards of success and failure you've absorbed. Are they serving your growth, or are they outdated benchmarks? Focus on effort over outcome. Shift your mindset to value persistence, learning, and resilience over mere results. Praise yourself and others for trying, regardless of the outcome. By confronting the origins of your fear of failure, you can begin to loosen its hold. The next chapter will explore how fear of failure manifests in everyday life, identifying the behaviors and symptoms that keep you stuck, and offering insights into breaking free. Chapter 3. How fear of failure manifests. Common behaviors and symptoms. Fear of failure doesn't always announce itself loudly. Instead, it often lurks beneath the surface, disguising itself as everyday behaviors or attitudes. Understanding how this fear manifests is crucial to identifying its grip on your life. Procrastination. Procrastination is one of the most common ways fear of failure shows up. At first glance, it might seem like laziness or poor time management, but procrastination often stems from deeper fears. When a task feels overwhelming or has high stakes, delaying it can serve as a temporary escape from the possibility of failure. Perfectionism. Perfectionism creates the illusion of striving for excellence, but it often masks a fear of imperfection. If your standards are impossibly high, you're setting yourself up for inevitable disappointment. Perfectionists might obsess over minor details or avoid starting projects altogether, fearing they won't meet their own expectations. Overthinking and indecision. Fear of failure can paralyze decision-making. Overthinking every potential outcome, weighing risks excessively, or being unable to commit to a choice are signs of anxiety about making the wrong move. This analysis paralysis often leads to missed opportunities. Avoidance behavior. Sometimes, the fear of failure leads to outright avoidance. This might mean declining challenges, avoiding situations where your skills will be tested, or choosing paths of least resistance to minimize risk. While this avoidance might bring short-term comfort, it ultimately limits growth and fulfillment. Negative self-talk and self-doubt. Fear of failure feeds a harsh inner critic. Thoughts like "I'll never be good enough," or "I always mess things up," create a loop of self-doubt that reinforces avoidance and inaction. This internal dialogue not only erodes confidence but also magnifies the fear of trying again. The hidden costs. Fear of failure, when left unchecked, carries significant hidden costs. These often extend beyond missed opportunities, impacting mental health, relationships, and overall quality of life. Missed opportunities. Perhaps the most tangible cost is the loss of opportunities. Fear can prevent you from pursuing a new job, starting a creative project, or taking steps toward a dream. The regret of what could have been often outweighs the risk of failure itself. Emotional exhaustion. Living under the constant pressure to avoid failure is emotionally draining. Perfectionism, overthinking, and avoidance create a mental load that leaves little room for joy or spontaneity. Over time, this can lead to burnout, anxiety, or depression. Stagnant growth. Growth requires risk, and risk inevitably comes with the possibility of failure. Avoiding failure means avoiding growth. This stagnation might not be immediately noticeable, but over time, it leads to feelings of unfulfilled potential. Strained relationships. Fear of failure can spill into personal interactions. The need for control, fear of vulnerability, or avoidance of conflict can create barriers to meaningful connections. This fear might lead to overcompensating, withdrawing, or being overly defensive in relationships. Recognizing the patterns. To confront your fear of failure, start by identifying how it manifests in your life. Reflect on these questions. Do you often delay tasks because they feel daunting? Are you reluctant to start something unless you're confident of success? Do you avoid challenges that might expose your weaknesses? Is your inner dialogue harsh or overly self-critical? Recognizing these patterns is a critical first step toward breaking free. Once you're aware of how fear operates, you can begin to challenge its influence. Breaking the cycle. Fear of failure thrives in the absence of action. The next chapters will delve deeper into strategies for reframing failure as an opportunity for growth. For now, consider these small steps to start dismantling the cycle. Take small risks, start with manageable challenges. Push yourself slightly outside your comfort zone and observe how it feels. Over time, these small risks build confidence and resilience. Celebrate effort, not outcome. Shift your focus from results to the effort you invest. Rewarding yourself for trying, regardless of success, helps rewire your relationship with failure. Separate emotion from action. When fear arises, acknowledge it without judgment. Label it, "This is fear." Then take a small step forward, despite the discomfort. Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a friend facing failure. Replace self-criticism with encouragement. Fear of failure is a natural part of being human, but it doesn't have to control your life. As you continue reading, you'll learn how to harness this fear, transforming it from a barrier into a powerful force for growth. Chapter 4. The Failure Myth, Shifting Perspectives. challenging societal and personal narratives about failure. For much of human history, success has been idealized, while failure has been stigmatized. Whether it's a publicized blunder or a private misstep, failure is often seen as a definitive mark of inadequacy. But what if this belief is not only incorrect, but also counterproductive? To embrace failure as a growth tool, we must first dismantle the myths that perpetuate our fear of it. The myth, failure equals defeat. Society tends to frame failure as the end of the road. Popular sayings like failure is not an option reinforce the idea that falling short is unacceptable. Yet history is replete with stories of individuals who failed multiple times before achieving success. Thomas Edison famously conducted over 1,000 failed experiments before inventing the light bulb. Each failure brought him closer to a breakthrough. Oprah Winfrey, now a global icon, was fired from her first television job because she was deemed unfit for TV. These examples highlight a fundamental truth: failure is often a precursor to success, not its antithesis. The myth, successful people don't fail. Another pervasive myth is that success comes effortlessly to the talented or lucky. Social media amplifies this narrative, showcasing achievements while concealing the struggles behind them. However, success is rarely linear. It's a winding path punctuated by setbacks, rejections, and detours. J.K. Rowling faced numerous rejections before a publisher finally accepted Harry Potter. Michael Jordan, widely regarded as one of the greatest athletes of all time, was cut from his high school basketball team. Recognizing that even the most successful individuals face failure helps normalize it as part of the journey. The myth, failure is a reflection of worth. One of the most damaging myths is that failure defines who we are. This belief conflates outcomes with identity, turning a single misstep into a verdict on one's abilities or value. In reality, failure is an event, not a person. It provides information about a particular effort, not a judgment on your worthiness. Reframing failure, a new lens. To shift perspectives, we must replace these harmful myths with empowering truths. Truth 1: failure is feedback. Failure provides valuable information about what works and what doesn't. When viewed through the lens of experimentation, failure becomes a data point rather than a dead end. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? What adjustments can I make moving forward? Truth 2: failure builds resilience. Each failure you face and overcome strengthens your ability to navigate future challenges. Resilience is like a muscle, it grows stronger with use. Consider this: how did past setbacks prepare you for later successes? Truth 3: failure fuels innovation. Some of the greatest breakthroughs have emerged from failures. Post-it notes, penicillin, and even chocolate chip cookies were invented by accident or as a result of failed experiments. Adopt a mindset of curiosity. What opportunities might this failure reveal? Success stories, the power of reframing. To illustrate how failure can be reframed, consider these inspiring stories. Walt Disney. Before building an entertainment empire, Disney was fired from a newspaper job because he lacked imagination. His early business ventures also failed, yet he persisted in pursuing his vision. Today, his name is synonymous with creativity and innovation. Sarah Blakely. The founder of Spanx, credits her success to her father's unique perspective on failure. At dinner, he would ask, "What did you fail at today?" By celebrating efforts, not just outcomes, he taught her to embrace risks and learn from mistakes. Elon Musk. Musk's ventures, from Tesla to SpaceX, have faced numerous setbacks. Rockets exploded, and electric vehicle projects nearly bankrupted the company. Yet Musk's willingness to view failure as part of progress allowed him to achieve monumental success. Practical steps for shifting perspectives. Redefine success and failure. Create your own definitions based on personal growth and learning, rather than societal expectations. Success could mean trying something new, while failure might simply mean staying in your comfort zone. Celebrate failures. Develop a habit of acknowledging and even celebrating failures. Keep a failure journal to document what you've learned from setbacks. Surround yourself with resilient thinkers. Engage with people who view failure as a stepping stone. Their perspectives can help you shift your own mindset. Use a failure analysis framework. After a failure, reflect on 3 questions: what went well? What didn't work? What will I do differently next time? Conclusion: embracing the failure myth. Failure is not a curse, it's a catalyst for growth, innovation, and self-discovery. By challenging the myths surrounding failure and adopting a new perspective, you can transform setbacks into springboards for success. As you continue on this journey, remember, the goal is not to eliminate failure, but to redefine its role in your life. With each misstep, you are one step closer to the person you're meant to become. Chapter 5. The Science of Resilience. Neuroplasticity and the brain's ability to grow from setbacks. The human brain is a marvel of adaptability. Contrary to the outdated belief that our minds are fixed and unchanging, modern neuroscience has revealed the brain's incredible ability to reorganize itself, a phenomenon called neuroplasticity. This adaptability not only allows us to learn new skills, but also equips us to recover from setbacks and thrive despite failure. The brain's role in resilience. When we encounter failure, the brain processes it as a form of stress. In the short term, this triggers the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for our fight-or-flight response. Emotional reactions like fear, frustration, or self-doubt can feel overwhelming. However, the brain is also equipped to learn from these experiences. With conscious effort, the prefrontal cortex, which governs reasoning and decision-making, can override the amygdala's alarm system. This allows us to analyze the situation, identify patterns, and develop strategies for future attempts. The key to resilience lies in harnessing this dynamic interplay between the emotional and rational parts of the brain. Growth through setbacks, the role of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity refers to the brain's capacity to form and reorganize synaptic connections, particularly in response to learning or experience. Failures, far from being dead ends, are rich opportunities for growth. Mistakes strengthen neural pathways. Each time you try, fail, and try again, your brain refines the neural circuits involved in that task. Over time, these circuits become more efficient. Adaptation and creativity. Encountering obstacles forces the brain to think creatively and adaptively, fostering innovation and problem-solving skills. Research supports the idea that embracing challenges, including failure, actively strengthens the brain. For example, a study on musicians and athletes found that those who persevered through repeated mistakes demonstrated stronger neural pathways related to their craft compared to those who avoided difficulty. The power of mindset, fixed versus growth. Psychologist Carol Dweck's concept of mindset offers valuable insights into why some people thrive after failure while others retreat. Fixed mindset. Individuals with a fixed mindset believe their abilities are static. Failure is perceived as a reflection of inherent inadequacy. This leads to behaviors like avoiding challenges, fearing risks, and giving up after setbacks. Growth mindset. In contrast, those with a growth mindset see abilities as malleable. Failure is viewed as a temporary hurdle and a chance to improve. This perspective encourages persistence, experimentation, and long-term success. The good news is that mindsets are not immutable. By intentionally adopting a growth-oriented approach, you can train your brain to view failure as a learning experience rather than a threat. Building resilience through practice. Resilience is not a trait you either have or lack, it's a skill you can cultivate. Here are practical ways to train your brain for resilience. 1. Reframe the narrative. When you fail, your initial interpretation of the event matters. Instead of framing it as a personal shortcoming, consider it an opportunity to learn. Example: instead of thinking, "I'm bad at this," try, "I haven't mastered this yet." 2. Embrace the yet mindset. Adding the word yet to negative self-assessments can shift your perspective. Instead of, "I can't solve this problem," say, "I can't solve this problem yet." 3. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness techniques, such as meditation and deep breathing, can help calm the amygdala's stress response. When the emotional brain is quiet, the rational brain can engage in problem solving. 4. Create incremental challenges. Expose yourself to manageable risks that build confidence over time. Success with smaller challenges reinforces the brain's belief in your ability to handle larger ones. 5. Seek constructive feedback. Feedback helps reframe failures as steps toward improvement. Actively seek out critiques from trusted sources to identify areas for growth. Resilience in action, case studies. Angela Duckworth's research on grit. Angela Duckworth's studies on grit, the combination of passion and perseverance, highlight the importance of resilience in achieving long-term goals. In her research, individuals who bounced back from failure and remained committed to their goals outperformed those who relied solely on talent. The story of SpaceX. Elon Musk's SpaceX faced numerous failed rocket launches, each costing millions of dollars. Instead of viewing these setbacks as final, the team dissected each failure, adjusted their designs, and eventually achieved groundbreaking success in aerospace technology. The long-term benefits of resilience. Resilience doesn't just help you overcome failure, it transforms how you approach life. Individuals who cultivate resilience often experience increased confidence. Each recovered setback builds self-belief. Greater creativity. Obstacles encourage innovative thinking. Stronger relationships. Resilience fosters empathy and collaboration, especially when navigating challenges with others. Conclusion: the science of resilience. Resilience is a testament to the brain's remarkable ability to grow, adapt, and thrive despite setbacks. By leveraging neuroplasticity and cultivating a growth mindset, you can transform failure from a source of fear into a powerful tool for learning and progress. Failure doesn't have to be the end of the story. With resilience, it becomes the beginning of a new chapter, one where you emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable than ever before. Chapter 6. From failure to feedback. Failure, while uncomfortable, is an unparalleled source of insight and growth. The secret to transforming setbacks into stepping stones lies in the ability to shift from an emotional reaction to a thoughtful analysis. This chapter explores how to turn failures into valuable feedback, helping you refine your efforts, strengthen your resilience, and move forward with greater purpose. Why feedback matters more than failure. At its core, failure is neutral, it's simply an event. The value, or harm, lies in how we interpret and respond to it. By reframing failure as feedback, you shift your focus from what went wrong to what you can learn. This mindset enables you to extract insights that illuminate a clearer path toward your goals. The feedback loop of growth. Action: you take a step or attempt a task. Result: the outcome, success or failure, provides information. Reflection: you analyze the result to identify what worked and what didn't. Adjustment: you adapt your approach and try again. Each iteration strengthens your skills and brings you closer to success. Without failure, this feedback loop stalls, limiting your growth. How to analyze failures objectively. When emotions run high, failure can feel personal or overwhelming. To transform it into actionable feedback, adopt a structured approach to analysis. 1. Detach emotionally. Emotional responses to failure are natural but can cloud judgment. Tip: give yourself a cooling-off period before analyzing a setback. This might be a few hours or a few days, depending on the intensity of the failure. 2. Break it down. Examine the failure step by step to pinpoint where things went off track. Ask yourself, what was the goal? What specific actions did I take? What external factors influenced the outcome? 3. Identify patterns. Look for recurring themes in your setbacks. Are you overcommitting? Underestimating challenges? Mismanaging time? Recognizing these patterns helps you address root causes. 4. Ask constructive questions. Replace self-critical thoughts with questions that lead to solutions, instead of, why do I always mess up? Ask, what can I do differently next time? Separating feedback from self-worth. One of the biggest obstacles to learning from failure is the tendency to equate it with personal inadequacy. To break this cycle, 1. Reframe self-talk. Adopt language that distinguishes between the event and your identity. Instead of, I'm a failure. Say, this attempt didn't work, but I'm learning. 2. Focus on effort, not outcome. Failure doesn't diminish your worth, it simply reflects an approach that didn't achieve the desired result. Celebrate the effort you put in as a step toward growth. 3. Practice self-compassion. When you show kindness to yourself after a setback, you create a safe mental space to reflect and improve. Tools for extracting lessons without self-criticism. 1. The Failure Journal. Document your failures in a dedicated journal. For each entry, include a brief description of the event, the emotions you experienced, key lessons learned, actions to take moving forward. This practice not only helps you process setbacks, but also builds a record of resilience and growth over time. 2. The October 10th 10 method. When evaluating the impact of a failure, use this perspective-shifting exercise. How will this matter in 10 days? How will it matter in 10 months? How will it matter in 10 years? This approach helps you see failures as temporary and often less catastrophic than they initially seem. 3. Postmortem analysis. Borrowed from business and project management, this technique involves reviewing what went wrong in a non-judgmental way. What was the objective? What succeeded? What failed? What can we do differently next time? Case studies, learning from failure. 1. Thomas Edison, the 10,000 failures. Edison's journey to invent the light bulb involved thousands of failed experiments. When asked about these failures, he famously said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." By reframing each setback as feedback, Edison demonstrated the relentless persistence required for breakthrough success. 2. Oprah Winfrey, turning criticism into growth. Early in her career, Oprah was fired from her job as a news anchor, told she was unfit for television. Instead of letting this failure define her, she used it as feedback to pivot toward her strengths, eventually becoming one of the most influential media personalities in the world. Overcoming fear of feedback. Some people avoid feedback because it feels like criticism. To embrace it as a tool for growth, seek out feedback proactively, regularly ask for input from mentors, peers, or trusted friends. View feedback as a gift. Remember that constructive feedback is an opportunity for improvement, not a personal attack. Thank feedback providers. Gratitude reinforces your openness to learning. The payoff, from criticism to confidence. Mastering the art of turning failure into feedback has profound benefits: increased resilience, you'll bounce back faster and stronger. Continuous improvement, every failure becomes a step toward mastery. Fearless action, knowing that setbacks lead to learning empowers you to take bold risks. Conclusion, making feedback your ally. Failure is not the enemy, stagnation is. By treating every setback as an opportunity to gain insights, you unlock a powerful tool for personal and professional growth. As you refine your ability to analyze failures objectively, you'll discover that each misstep brings you closer to your goals. With the right mindset, failure becomes not just a teacher, but a trusted guide on your journey towards success. Chapter 7. Cultivating self-compassion. Self-compassion is a cornerstone of resilience and growth. It is the practice of extending kindness and understanding to yourself, especially in moments of failure or inadequacy. Without it, the fear of failure can spiral into self-judgment, eroding confidence and preventing progress. In this chapter, we'll explore the transformative power of self-compassion, practical techniques for nurturing it, and how it shifts your perspective on failure. Why self-compassion matters. The inner critic, our voice of self-judgment, can be harsh and unrelenting, amplifying the pain of failure. Self-compassion, in contrast, serves as a buffer, allowing you to process setbacks with greater clarity and less emotional turmoil. The 3 components of self-compassion, adapted from Dr. Kristin Neff's research. Self-kindness versus self-judgment. Self-kindness means treating yourself with the same warmth and care you'd offer a friend in distress. It counters the habit of harsh self-criticism, fostering an environment where growth becomes possible. Common humanity versus isolation. Failure is part of the shared human experience. Recognizing this reduces feelings of isolation and unworthiness. When you see setbacks as universal, they become less personal and more manageable. Mindfulness versus over-identification. Mindfulness involves acknowledging your feelings without becoming consumed by them. It helps you observe failure as a temporary event, not a defining feature of your character. The benefits of self-compassion in failure. 1. Emotional resilience. Self-compassion softens the blow of failure, allowing you to recover more quickly. It provides a steady foundation to evaluate setbacks objectively without emotional overwhelm. 2. Motivation without fear. Contrary to the belief that self-criticism drives performance, research shows that self-compassion fosters intrinsic motivation. Instead of fearing failure, you're inspired to improve because you value your growth. 3. Greater creativity and innovation. When failure isn't a source of shame, you're more willing to take risks and think creatively. A compassionate mindset creates a safe mental space for experimentation. Breaking the cycle of self-judgment. Recognizing the inner critic. The first step to cultivating self-compassion is awareness of your self-critical thoughts. Common examples of self-criticism: I'm not good enough. Why do I always mess up? I'll never succeed at this. Responding to the inner critic. Pause and reflect. Notice when self-critical thoughts arise and label them. Example: that's my inner critic speaking again. Counter with compassion. Replace harsh thoughts with supportive statements. Example: this didn't go as planned, but I'm learning. Mistakes are part of the process. Practical exercises for self-kindness. 1. The self-compassion letter. Write a letter to yourself about a recent failure or setback. Use kind and encouraging language, as if you were writing to a close friend. Reflect on what you've learned and how you'll move forward. 2. Daily self-compassion mantra. Develop a simple mantra to recite during challenging moments. Example: I am human. Mistakes are part of growth. I'm doing my best. 3. Self-compassion break, adapted from Dr. Neff. When you feel overwhelmed by failure, take a moment to place a hand on your heart or another comforting gesture. Say, this is a moment of struggle. Mindfulness. Struggle is part of being human. Common humanity. May I be kind to myself in this moment. Self-kindness. Building a self-compassion practice. 1. Journaling for kindness. Reflect on moments when you were hard on yourself. Write down what you'd say to a friend in the same situation. Use this as a template for how to treat yourself moving forward. 2. Practicing gratitude for effort. Celebrate your effort and willingness to try, regardless of the outcome. Example: I didn't get the job, but I prepared thoroughly and put myself out there. That takes courage. 3. Surrounding yourself with compassionate influences. Spend time with people who model self-compassion and encourage growth. Avoid environments where criticism or negativity is pervasive. Case studies: self-compassion in action. 1. J.K. Rowling, embracing setbacks. Before achieving literary fame with Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling faced rejections from publishers and personal struggles. Instead of succumbing to self-criticism, she leaned into her passion for writing and reminded herself that failure was a stepping stone. Her perseverance, fueled by self-compassion, transformed setbacks into creative opportunities. 2. Serena Williams, compassion as strength. Serena Williams has spoken openly about using self-kindness to manage losses on the global stage. Instead of internalizing defeat, she views it as a temporary result and focuses on celebrating her efforts, allowing her to continually strive for excellence. Common misconceptions about self-compassion. 1. It's the same as self-pity. Self-pity involves wallowing in negative emotions, while self-compassion emphasizes action and growth. 2. It makes you weak. Far from fostering complacency, self-compassion builds inner strength by encouraging resilience and perseverance. 3. It's selfish. Self-compassion enhances your capacity to support others by improving your emotional well-being and empathy. Conclusion: the courage to be kind to yourself. Self-compassion isn't just a feel-good practice, it's a transformative mindset that reshapes your relationship with failure. By breaking the cycle of self-judgment and embracing kindness, you create a supportive internal environment where growth and learning thrive. As you cultivate self-compassion, you'll find that failure loses its sting, becoming a natural and essential part of your journey. Treating yourself with the kindness you deserve is not just an act of courage, it's a revolutionary step toward lasting success. Chapter 8. The Power of Perspective. Perspective is the lens through which we interpret life's experiences. A failure viewed narrowly as a dead end can feel devastating, but when seen in the context of a larger journey, it often reveals itself as a stepping stone to growth. Cultivating the ability to shift your perspective is a transformative skill that empowers you to reframe setbacks as opportunities for learning and improvement. How perspective shapes our experience. The narrow lens of immediate failure. When failure strikes, it's easy to focus on the immediate disappointment or perceived loss. This narrow lens amplifies emotions like regret, frustration, and self-doubt. Example: missing out on a promotion might feel like an indictment of your abilities, rather than an opportunity to reassess your career trajectory. The broad view of growth and resilience. Stepping back to view failure as part of a larger picture can reduce its emotional impact. This broader perspective allows you to see how setbacks contribute to long-term growth. Example: that same missed promotion might encourage you to develop new skills or explore roles better aligned with your goals. The role of time in perspective. Immediate reaction versus retrospective clarity. In the moment, failures often feel final and all-encompassing. Over time, with distance, failures frequently appear less significant, and their lessons become more apparent. Activity: reflect on a past failure that seemed catastrophic at the time. What did you learn from it? How has it shaped who you are today? Techniques for gaining perspective. 1. The big picture exercise. Ask yourself these questions: will this matter in 5 days, 5 months, or 5 years? What can I learn from this experience that will benefit my future self? 2. Visualization, stepping outside yourself. Imagine describing your failure to a neutral third party. How might they interpret the situation without your emotional bias? 3. Embracing the journey mentality. Life is a series of peaks and valleys, not a straight path. Viewing failure as a temporary dip in a larger trajectory helps normalize setbacks. Examples of perspective shifts in action. 1. Oprah Winfrey, fired to famous. Before becoming a global media mogul, Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first job as a television news anchor. At the time, it seemed like a career-ending failure. In hindsight, it pushed her toward opportunities that aligned better with her talents and vision. 2. Michael Jordan, the high school cut. Michael Jordan, widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was famously cut from his high school varsity team. Instead of seeing this as a final judgment of his skills, he viewed it as a challenge to improve, which fueled his legendary work ethic. Setting goals with perspective in mind. When you set goals, it's essential to leave room for growth and adaptability. Overly rigid goals can make even small failures feel catastrophic, while flexible goals encourage learning and resilience. Incremental progress. Break large goals into smaller milestones to track growth and celebrate wins along the way. Recognize that setbacks are part of the process, not indicators of failure. Reassessing success. Success isn't always achieving the original goal, it's often the skills, insights, and connections gained along the way. Example: a failed business may teach invaluable lessons that lead to future entrepreneurial success. Finding meaning in failure. The role of reflection. Regular reflection transforms failure from a painful memory into a valuable learning tool. Activity: after a setback, journal about what went wrong, what you could have done differently, and what you learned. The growth mindset connection. Viewing failures as opportunities to grow fosters resilience and reduces fear. Replace the thought, "I failed because I'm not good enough," with, "I didn't succeed this time, but I'm learning how to improve." The power of gratitude in perspective. Gratitude shifts focus from what's lost to what's gained, helping you see failure as a catalyst for growth. Gratitude practice. list 3 things you've learned or gained from a recent failure. Reflect on how these lessons might contribute to future successes. Developing a resilient perspective. 1. Adopt a long-term mindset. Recognize that failure is often a short-term setback on a long-term journey. Focus on building skills and habits that support sustained growth. 2. Surround yourself with perspective builders. Engage with people who view failure as an opportunity and inspire you to do the same. Avoid environments where failure is stigmatized or viewed as the end of the road. 3. Practice self-compassion, as discussed in Chapter 7. Self-compassion helps you process failure without becoming stuck in negativity, allowing you to see the bigger picture. Conclusion: a new way of seeing failure. Perspective isn't just about shifting how you view failure, it's about redefining its role in your life. By broadening your lens, you can transform setbacks into opportunities, cultivating resilience and courage along the way. Failure doesn't define you, how you choose to see and respond to it does. Embrace the power of perspective to turn life's inevitable challenges into meaningful growth, paving the way for future success. Chapter 9. Detaching self-worth from outcomes. One of the most pervasive and harmful beliefs about failure is the idea that our self-worth is directly tied to our achievements. When we succeed, we feel worthy, confident, and valuable. But when we fail, we may spiral into self-doubt, questioning our abilities, potential, and even our intrinsic value as human beings. This chapter explores how to untangle self-worth from external outcomes, helping you embrace the process of growth and find fulfillment in your efforts rather than the results. Why do we tie self-worth to outcomes? Cultural and societal conditioning. From a young age, many of us are taught to associate success with worthiness. High grades, trophies, promotions, and accolades are celebrated, while mistakes and failures are often met with criticism or disappointment. Impact. Over time, we internalize the idea that our value depends on external validation, making failure feel like a personal indictment rather than a natural part of growth. The perfectionism trap. Perfectionism exacerbates this dynamic by creating unrealistic expectations. When perfectionists fall short, they interpret it as a failure of character, not just performance. Common thought patterns: if I fail, I'm not good enough. Success proves my worth, failure proves my inadequacy. The pitfalls of outcome-driven self-worth. Emotional volatility. When self-worth depends on external success, emotions can swing wildly based on outcomes. Success equals temporary elation. Failure equals feelings of shame, inadequacy, or despair. Fear-based decision-making. If your self-worth is tied to success, fear of failure may drive your choices. You may avoid risks, stick to safe paths, and miss opportunities for meaningful growth. The hustle for worthiness. This constant striving for validation can lead to burnout, chronic stress, and a lack of fulfillment, even when you achieve your goals. Redefining self-worth, moving inward. Detaching self-worth from outcomes involves redefining how you perceive value and success. Instead of basing your worth on external achievements, you can cultivate an internal sense of self that is resilient, compassionate, and independent of results. 1. Understanding intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation, rooted in internal values, interests, and passions. Example: writing because you love storytelling. Extrinsic motivation, driven by external rewards like money, recognition, or status. Example: writing only to earn praise or accolades. Shift focus, align your actions with intrinsic motivations. When you pursue goals for personal growth or enjoyment, external outcomes hold less sway over your self-worth. 2. Separating doing from being. Your worth is not defined by what you accomplish, it's inherent. You are valuable simply by being. Reframe failure. Instead of thinking, I failed, so I'm a failure, say, I didn't succeed this time, but I'm learning. Celebrate progress, focus on the skills, insights, and growth gained from effort, regardless of the result. 3. Building self-worth through self-compassion, building on Chapter 7. When you treat yourself with kindness and understanding, you reinforce the idea that your value doesn't depend on perfection or success. Practical exercise: write a letter to yourself as if you were comforting a friend after a failure. Highlight your strengths, potential, and the courage it took to try. Finding fulfillment in the process. 1. Embracing effort over outcomes. Effort, not results, is the true measure of growth. By focusing on the process, you allow yourself to enjoy the journey and find pride in your persistence. Example: an artist who values the joy of creation over the sale of a painting. 2. Setting meaningful goals. Define success on your terms by setting goals that reflect your values and passions, not society's expectations. Value-based goals, goals that prioritize personal growth, learning, and connection over external markers of success. Incremental wins, celebrate small achievements along the way to build momentum and confidence. Practical strategies for detaching self-worth from outcomes. 1. The values check-in exercise. Write down 3 things you value about yourself that have nothing to do with achievements or outcomes. Examples: kindness, creativity, resilience. 2. The growth inventory. After a perceived failure, list what you learned, how the experience challenged you, how you grew as a result. 3. Gratitude for effort, building on Chapter 8. Reflect on the courage it took to try, even if the result wasn't what you hoped. Acknowledge the bravery inherent in stepping out of your comfort zone. Stories of detaching self-worth from outcomes. 1. J.K. Rowling, embracing rock bottom. Before becoming one of the most successful authors in history, J.K. Rowling faced rejection from numerous publishers. She has often spoken about how hitting rock bottom allowed her to focus on what truly mattered, writing a story she loved. 2. Serena Williams, redefining success. Serena Williams, despite her unparalleled achievements in tennis, has emphasized that her worth doesn't depend on trophies or rankings. She views success as living authentically and finding joy in her passions. Conclusion: freedom and detachment. Detaching self-worth from outcomes liberates you from the constant pressure to succeed and the paralyzing fear of failure. It allows you to take risks, pursue passions, and live authentically. When you stop hustling for worthiness, you find that your value is already intact. You are worthy, not because of what you achieve, but because of who you are. Let this truth anchor you as you navigate the ups and downs of life, embracing failure as a teacher and finding fulfillment in the journey, not just the destination. Chapter 10. Risk assessment and planning. Taking risks is an essential part of growth, but for many, the fear of failure makes risks feel like threats to their sense of safety and well-being. The fear of making the wrong decision, losing control, or facing the consequences of failure can lead to paralysis. This chapter will explore how to assess risks thoughtfully and set plans in place that allow you to embrace challenges while minimizing unnecessary anxiety. By finding the balance between ambition and realistic goal setting, you can navigate uncertainty with confidence. Why we fear risk. The evolutionary perspective, the need for safety. The fear of risk is deeply ingrained in our biology. Historically, our ancestors had to make decisions about risk based on survival, hunt, gather, and navigate the environment with caution. This survival instinct is part of what drives our avoidance of uncertainty today. While this caution served us well in the past, in modern life, many of the risks we face are psychological rather than physical. Yet, our brains still react to them in the same way, leading to anxiety and overestimation of danger. The perception of risk as a threat. When it comes to failure, our brains tend to exaggerate the potential consequences. For example, missing out on a business opportunity might feel like a catastrophic event, even though it's likely just a temporary setback. This perception often distorts the real risk and hinders our ability to make sound decisions. Understanding this cognitive bias can help you reframe how you view risk, seeing it not as a threat but as a challenge that can lead to growth and opportunities. The importance of risk assessment. Risk assessment isn't about avoiding all risks, it's about understanding the potential rewards and consequences and making decisions that align with your goals and values. The role of thoughtful planning. The process of assessing risk involves both an emotional and logical approach. It's essential to consider your goals, values, and desired outcomes and weigh those against the possible risks. Steps for thoughtful risk assessment: clarify your goal, be specific about what you want to achieve. Whether it's starting a new business, taking on a new project, or changing careers, your goals must be clear. Identify possible risks. What are the potential obstacles or failures that might arise? Consider both minor and major risks. Evaluate the impact. How would each potential risk affect you or your project? What's the worst-case scenario, and how would you cope with it? Weigh the rewards. What will you gain if the risk pays off? Is the potential reward worth the risk? Create a plan. Prepare for the risks you can't avoid. Establish contingencies or backups, and break down your goal into manageable steps. The risks of inaction. Often, the biggest risk is the one we take by not acting at all. The fear of failure can cause us to stay stuck in indecision or procrastination. When you're too afraid to take risks, you lose out on valuable experiences, insights, and opportunities. While risk brings uncertainty, inaction ensures stagnation. Recognizing that standing still is often more detrimental than taking calculated risks can help overcome the paralyzing fear of failure. Balancing ambition with realistic goal setting. Ambition is a powerful motivator, but without balance, it can lead to overwhelming pressure and fear of failure. Setting realistic goals is key to managing risk and achieving success without sacrificing your well-being. 1. Break down big goals into smaller, achievable steps. Large, ambitious goals can seem daunting, making the risks involved feel too big to handle. Breaking goals into smaller, more manageable pieces makes them feel less intimidating and allows you to take calculated steps forward. Example: rather than aiming to become a successful entrepreneur right away, break it down into smaller goals, such as write a business plan, research potential markets, and launch a product. Each small step builds momentum and reduces the perceived risk. 2. Set realistic timeframes. Unrealistic expectations around time can add unnecessary pressure. While it's important to push yourself, giving yourself enough time to learn, adapt, and grow is essential. Setting deadlines that are challenging yet achievable helps you stay focused without overloading yourself. 3. Factor in potential failures and adjust as needed. A key part of realistic goal setting is recognizing that failure may be part of the journey. Instead of seeing setbacks as permanent, view them as necessary feedback. Adjust your goals as needed, and be flexible in your approach. Creating contingency plans. Even with careful planning, not all risks can be predicted, and not all failures can be avoided. This is why contingency planning is crucial. Contingency planning involves preparing for the unexpected and developing strategies to minimize the impact of failure. Why contingency plans matter. Contingency plans reduce the fear of failure by giving you a roadmap for how to respond when things don't go according to plan. Knowing that you have options if things don't work out can make you more confident in taking risks. How to create a contingency plan. Identify key risks. What are the most likely setbacks or failures? Create solutions. For each risk, think about what you could do to manage the situation. This might include finding alternate revenue streams, pivoting to a different strategy, or seeking expert advice. Prepare your mindset. Understand that things won't always go perfectly. When the unexpected happens, focus on solutions, not self-blame. Have a support system. Create a network of people who can help you navigate risks, mentors, advisors, or friends. The power of calculated risk-taking. 1. Embrace the growth mindset. Adopting a growth mindset means seeing failure as part of the process of growth, not as an indication of inability. People with a growth mindset approach risk as an opportunity to learn and improve rather than something to fear. 2. Start small and build confidence. If you're afraid of taking big risks, begin with smaller, less intimidating ones. As you experience success, your confidence will grow, and your capacity to take on bigger challenges will expand. Real-life examples of smart risk-taking. 1. The launch of Apple. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak took immense risks to start Apple. They faced financial uncertainty, technical challenges, and personal doubts. However, their thoughtful risk assessment, along with their determination and willingness to fail, led to one of the most successful tech companies in the world. 2. Thomas Edison's persistence. Thomas Edison's famous quote, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work," speaks to his approach to risk and failure. Edison viewed every failure as a step toward innovation, emphasizing the importance of learning from mistakes and adjusting his approach. Conclusion: risk as a tool for growth. Risk is an essential element of growth, creativity, and success. By thoughtfully assessing risks, setting realistic goals, and preparing contingency plans, you can make decisions that help you move forward with confidence. Remember, the greatest risk is often inaction, and by embracing calculated risks, you open yourself up to new opportunities, learning, and growth. Risk-taking isn't about avoiding failure, it's about being willing to fail forward, knowing that each step, whether successful or not, brings you closer to your ultimate goals. Chapter 11. Developing healthy habits for growth. One of the most powerful ways to overcome the fear of failure and build resilience is through consistent, healthy habits that nurture growth. Habits shape who we are and how we approach life's challenges. The right habits create a strong foundation for success, enabling us to bounce back from failure, remain focused, and continue moving forward. This chapter explores how to build and maintain habits that support emotional, mental, and physical growth, making it easier to navigate the inevitable setbacks life brings. Why habits matter. Habits are the daily practices that shape the trajectory of our lives. Whether it's how we approach work, how we take care of our bodies, or how we relate to ourselves, habits influence everything. When we cultivate healthy habits, we reduce the mental energy spent on decision-making and create a routine that helps us stay grounded and resilient, no matter what comes our way. Habits are particularly important in overcoming the fear of failure because they allow us to face adversity with consistency and clarity. Instead of reacting impulsively to setbacks, we can rely on our habits to keep us focused and motivated, even during difficult times. 1. Building resilience through mindfulness and journaling. Mindfulness, staying present amidst chaos. Mindfulness practices help center us in the present moment and reduce the anxiety and fear that often arise when we think about failure. Being mindful allows us to observe our thoughts without judgment, making it easier to detach from negative emotions and fear-based thinking. Mindfulness exercises for resilience. Breathing exercises. Take a few minutes each day to focus on your breath. Inhale deeply, hold for a few seconds, and exhale slowly. This simple practice can calm the nervous system and help you reset your mind. Body scan meditation. Start from the top of your head and move down to your toes, noticing any tension or discomfort in your body. This practice helps increase self-awareness and reduce stress. Journaling, a tool for clarity and reflection. Journaling is a great way to process emotions and experiences, especially when we face fear and failure. Writing down your thoughts can help you gain perspective, identify patterns of self-doubt, and reflect on lessons learned. Journaling prompts to conquer fear. What went well today? Even if you face challenges, find moments of success or progress, no matter how small. What did I learn from this setback? Reflect on the lessons failure offers instead of focusing on the disappointment. What are 3 things I can do tomorrow to move forward? Create actionable steps to continue progressing, even when things feel uncertain. 2. Creating consistent routines for mental and physical growth. Morning rituals, setting the tone for the day. Starting your day with a solid morning routine can significantly improve your mental resilience and emotional stability. A purposeful morning ritual helps you begin each day with intention and focus, making it easier to face challenges with a positive outlook. Components of a powerful morning routine. Gratitude practice. Write down 3 things you are grateful for. This simple habit shifts your focus from fear and scarcity to abundance and opportunity. Physical exercise. Exercise increases the production of endorphins, which help reduce stress and boost mood. Even a short walk or stretching routine can help you feel more grounded. Visualization. Visualize your goals and the process of overcoming obstacles. Picture yourself succeeding despite challenges, as this primes your brain for success. Evening reflection. Closing the day with purpose. Just as a strong morning routine sets the tone for the day, evening reflection helps you process what you've learned and how you've grown. It's essential to wind down with gratitude, a sense of accomplishment, and an acknowledgement of progress. Evening reflection rituals: review your day, reflect on your accomplishments and what you learned from any failures. Set your intentions for tomorrow, decide on one key action you'll take tomorrow to stay on track with your goals. Relaxation: end your evening with a relaxation technique, such as light reading, listening to soothing music, or engaging in meditation to ensure a restful night's sleep. 3. Building physical resilience for mental strength. Our bodies and minds are intricately connected, and taking care of your physical health can directly impact your emotional resilience. When you maintain a healthy body, your mind becomes more equipped to handle stress, fear, and setbacks. Exercise: strengthening body and mind. Exercise is one of the most effective ways to boost both physical and mental resilience. When we exercise, our bodies release endorphins, natural mood lifters, that help counteract anxiety and stress. Regular physical activity also increases focus, energy levels, and overall mental clarity. Ways to incorporate movement into your routine: start small. If you're new to exercise, start with 10 to 15 minutes a day of something simple, like walking, yoga, or stretching. Get creative: find an activity you enjoy, such as dancing, hiking, or playing a sport. When exercise feels fun, it becomes a powerful tool for self-care. Incorporate movement breaks. Throughout your day, take short breaks to stand, stretch, or walk around. These mini moments of activity help refresh your mind and body, keeping you energized and focused. Nutrition: fueling your resilience. The foods we eat can have a direct impact on our emotional health and stress levels. Eating nutrient-dense foods, staying hydrated, and avoiding excessive caffeine or sugar can help maintain balanced energy levels, reduce anxiety, and enhance cognitive function. Nutrition tips for mental clarity and emotional resilience: eat balanced meals, include plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins in your diet. Avoid overstimulation. While caffeine may give you a temporary boost, it can also contribute to anxiety. Limit intake and opt for calming herbal teas if needed. Stay hydrated. Dehydration can affect mood and cognitive function, so be sure to drink enough water throughout the day. 4. Staying consistent with habits, the key to long-term growth. Consistency is the secret to making healthy habits stick. It's easy to get motivated at the start, but lasting growth comes from maintaining your routines day after day, even when life gets busy or difficult. Tracking your progress. Keeping track of your habits allows you to stay accountable and motivated. Whether it's through a habit tracking app, a bullet journal, or a simple checklist, tracking your progress gives you visual reminders of your commitment to growth. The power of small wins. Celebrate small successes along the way. Whether it's sticking to your exercise routine for a week or journaling consistently for a month, acknowledging your progress reinforces your sense of achievement and motivates you to continue pushing forward. Make habits enjoyable. When building new habits, try to make them as enjoyable as possible. If you love reading, make it part of your morning routine. If you enjoy nature, take your mindfulness practice outside. The more fun and rewarding your habits feel, the more likely you'll stick with them. Conclusion: habits as the foundation of success. Healthy habits aren't just about improving productivity, they're about building the resilience you need to navigate life's inevitable failures and setbacks. By establishing routines that support both your physical and mental well-being, you create a solid foundation for growth. When you consistently show up for yourself, even when fear and failure knock at your door, your habits will help you stay grounded, focused, and resilient. These habits empower you to face challenges with confidence and turn setbacks into stepping stones on the road to success. Chapter 12. Failing Smarter: Experimentation and Innovation. One of the most powerful ways to overcome the fear of failure is to shift our mindset from seeing setbacks as final defeats to viewing them as opportunities for growth, experimentation, and innovation. Failure is not something to be avoided at all costs. It is a natural part of the creative process, an essential tool for learning and evolving. When we approach failure with a mindset of curiosity and experimentation, we not only increase our chances of success, but also transform setbacks into stepping stones for innovation. In this chapter, we'll explore how to embrace failure as a catalyst for creativity and discovery. We'll examine how adopting a scientist's mindset, focused on testing, learning, and adapting, can help you fail smarter and make progress faster. The power of experimentation. Experimentation is about trying new things, taking calculated risks, and stepping out of your comfort zone. It's about being willing to test hypotheses, adjust based on feedback, and not seeing failure as something to fear, but as part of the process. When we embrace experimentation, we break free from the need for perfection and instead foster an environment where creativity can thrive. The experimental mindset. A key component of experimentation is adopting a mindset that encourages learning over success. In scientific terms, a hypothesis is tested, data is collected, and conclusions are drawn based on the results. Similarly, in life, we can treat each new venture as an experiment, where failure is not a reflection of personal inadequacy but simply an outcome from which we can extract valuable lessons. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What can I learn from this? What new insights can I gain? How can this experiment be improved next time?" This approach allows you to take calculated risks, knowing that every failure is not only acceptable but valuable. Adopting a scientist's mindset, testing, learning, and adapting. To truly fail smarter, we must learn to approach failure like a scientist approaches a failed experiment, with curiosity, humility, and a commitment to finding better ways forward. The scientific method encourages testing hypotheses, evaluating results, and adapting strategies based on findings. This is a mindset that anyone can adopt in their personal or professional life. Step 1. Test. Testing involves trying new things and venturing into the unknown. The key here is not to aim for perfection, but to start experimenting, knowing that every attempt provides valuable data. Whether it's launching a new project, pursuing a creative endeavor, or exploring a new job opportunity, begin with a small-scale test. Acknowledge that this experiment is meant to be informative rather than flawless. Example: if you're exploring a new career path, instead of diving into a full-time commitment right away, you might test the waters by taking on a part-time project, freelancing, or doing informational interviews. This allows you to gather valuable insights without putting all your resources at risk. Step 2. Learn. After you test, you must assess the results. What worked? What didn't? What would you do differently next time? Learning from failure requires an open mind and a willingness to analyze outcomes without self-judgment. Instead of focusing on the disappointment of things not going as planned, shift your attention to the insights gained from the process. Reflection prompts for learning. What was the most surprising thing I learned from this experience? What assumptions did I have that were proven wrong? What strategies or tactics would I change if I were to repeat this? By learning from each failure, you gradually refine your approach, improving your chances of success in the future. Step 3. Adapt. Adapting means adjusting your approach based on what you've learned from your experiment. This could involve altering your strategy, trying new methods, or even completely pivoting if the data suggests a change is needed. The key to failing smarter is to use the lessons learned from past experiments to refine and adapt your next steps. Example: if your first attempt at launching a product failed, you may need to adjust the marketing strategy, revisit the target audience, or refine the product based on customer feedback. By using this adaptive approach, you ensure that each failure brings you closer to success. Embracing iteration, failure as feedback. In the world of innovation, failure is often referred to as feedback. Each failed attempt reveals information about what works and what doesn't, guiding you closer to the right solution. Just as engineers iterate on prototypes, you can iterate on your ideas, skills, and strategies to improve over time. The more you experiment, the more data you collect, and the better your chances of success become. The feedback loop. Creating a feedback loop involves constantly assessing your progress and making improvements based on what you learn. Feedback can come from various sources: customers, mentors, colleagues, or even your own reflections. The goal is to remain flexible and open to adjustments, always improving and evolving based on what you discover through each failure. Example: in product development, the cycle might look like this: design, create a prototype of the product. Test, release the prototype to a small audience for feedback. Fail, receive negative feedback or discover flaws in the design. Learn, analyze the feedback and identify areas for improvement. Adapt, make changes to the prototype based on the feedback. Repeat, continue testing and refining the product. This cycle continues until you have a finished product or solution that has been fine-tuned through repeated experimentation and feedback. Embracing failure as a stepping stone to innovation. Many of the greatest breakthroughs in history were preceded by repeated failure. The key is not to fear failure, but to see it as an essential step in the innovation process. When you embrace failure as a natural part of creativity, you create a mindset that encourages continuous learning and progress. Innovation stories, learning from history. Thomas Edison. Edison is famous for saying, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His willingness to experiment relentlessly led to the invention of the electric light bulb, a breakthrough that changed the world. Steve Jobs. Jobs failed multiple times before co-founding Apple. His first company, Next, was a commercial failure, but he used the lessons learned to drive Apple's incredible success. J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, Rowling faced numerous rejections. She kept experimenting with her writing and adapted her approach until she found success. These innovators understood that failure is not the end, it is merely part of the process of discovery and growth. Every failure offers something valuable, a lesson, a realization, or a new idea, each bringing you closer to the breakthrough you seek. How to fail smarter in your own life. Set small, manageable experiments. Don't try to change everything all at once. Start small. For example, if you're interested in a new career path, begin by gaining new skills through online courses or side projects. This allows you to test the waters without committing fully. Focus on learning, not perfection. Shift your focus from getting everything right to gaining insights from the process. By letting go of the need to be perfect, you can embrace mistakes as valuable teachers rather than failures to be avoided. Be willing to pivot. If your experiment doesn't go as planned, take it as feedback. What can you adapt or improve? Be open to changing direction or fine-tuning your approach based on what you've learned. Celebrate the lessons. Instead of lamenting failures, celebrate the lessons. Recognize that every setback is a step forward if you choose to learn from it. Conclusion: failing smarter and innovating forward. To fail smarter, we must embrace failure as part of the journey. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. By adopting a scientist's mindset, experimenting, learning from feedback, and being willing to iterate, we can turn fear of failure into the fuel for creativity and innovation. The key is not to avoid failure, but to understand it, learn from it, and use it to create new paths to success. Chapter 13. Failure in relationships and personal life. One of the most common areas where fear of failure manifests is in our personal relationships. The anxiety around rejection, the desire to avoid conflict, and the pressure to meet social expectations can make us hesitant to fully invest in relationships. We fear that our imperfections or past mistakes will lead to rejection, and we often protect ourselves by avoiding vulnerability. In doing so, we may unintentionally limit the depth and growth of our connections with others. But just like in any other area of life, our relationships can benefit from embracing failure. When we approach failure in relationships with curiosity and openness, we create opportunities for growth, healing, and stronger bonds. In this chapter, we will explore how the fear of failure shows up in our personal lives and how we can approach it with the same mindset we use in other areas, one that embraces failure as a stepping stone to greater connection and understanding. How fear of rejection mirrors fear of failure. The fear of rejection in relationships often parallels the fear of failure. Whether it's in a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a family connection, we worry that if we show our true selves, we might not be accepted. This fear can lead to anxiety, self-doubt, and a tendency to retreat emotionally. We avoid taking risks in conversations or expressing our needs and feelings out of fear that the response will be negative. In essence, we fear that showing vulnerability will result in failure, the failure to be loved, understood, or accepted. This fear is often exaggerated, influenced by past experiences or societal expectations, but it can keep us stuck in patterns that prevent growth and deeper connection. Breaking the cycle of fear in relationships. The key to overcoming this fear in relationships is to recognize that rejection and conflict are not failures. They are natural parts of the human experience and are often stepping stones toward deeper understanding. Relationships evolve through honesty, discomfort, and sometimes failure. It's important to reframe rejection or miscommunication not as personal shortcomings, but as opportunities for learning and growth. Reframing rejection in relationships. Instead of seeing rejection as a sign of failure, view it as feedback that guides you toward what does and doesn't work for you in a relationship. Understand that not every disagreement or moment of tension needs to be avoided or fixed immediately. Sometimes, conflict is a necessary part of the process of deepening understanding and intimacy. By embracing this perspective, you can approach relationships with more openness and less fear, allowing for richer and more meaningful connections. Approaching personal setbacks with curiosity. In life, we often face setbacks that challenge our sense of self-worth. These setbacks might include falling short of personal goals, experiencing difficulties in relationships, or feeling misunderstood by those close to us. Fear of failure can manifest when we interpret these setbacks as indications of our inadequacy or as signals that we are failing at life. However, just as in professional pursuits, setbacks in personal life offer powerful lessons and opportunities for growth. The way we approach these setbacks can determine whether they will limit us or serve as catalysts for positive change. The growth mindset in personal life. When you encounter difficulties in your personal life, whether it's a falling out with a friend, an argument with a partner, or a challenge with a family member, treat them as valuable learning experiences. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? What part of this situation is within my control to improve? How can I approach this issue with more understanding, patience, or empathy in the future? Adopting a growth mindset allows you to view personal setbacks as part of the process of evolving as an individual and a partner, friend, or family member. It encourages you to view challenges not as failures, but as opportunities to deepen your emotional intelligence, communication skills, and capacity for compassion. The role of vulnerability in deepening relationships. Vulnerability is often the key to deeper, more authentic connections. We tend to fear vulnerability because it exposes our weaknesses and opens us to potential hurt. However, vulnerability is also what makes genuine relationships possible. It is the foundation of trust, empathy, and true intimacy. When we fear vulnerability, we inadvertently keep others at arm's length. We hold back from expressing our true thoughts and feelings, protecting ourselves from the possibility of rejection or hurt. But the very act of showing up authentically, of being vulnerable, can lead to greater connection and understanding. Embracing vulnerability in relationships. Instead of viewing vulnerability as a weakness or a risk of failure, recognize it as a powerful strength. Vulnerability is not about being perfect, it's about being real, about sharing who we are with those we care about, even when it feels uncomfortable. Share your feelings of uncertainty or insecurity with loved ones. Open up about your needs, desires, and fears. Be honest about mistakes or misunderstandings, and use those moments to grow closer. By showing up as your true self, imperfections and all, you create a space for others to do the same. This mutual vulnerability leads to more honest, authentic, and resilient relationships. Learning from past failures in relationships. In every relationship, there are moments where things don't go as planned, misunderstandings, hurt feelings, broken trust. It's easy to see these moments as failures, but they can also be some of the most profound opportunities for growth and healing. Rather than looking back with regret or shame, view these past relationship failures as valuable learning experiences. What did they teach you about yourself, your boundaries, your communication style, or your emotional needs? Questions for reflection on past relationship failures. What patterns can I identify in my past relationships? What role did I play in the conflict or misunderstanding? How can I use this experience to improve future relationships? The more you reflect on past setbacks, the more you can take away from them. By gaining insight into your behavior, communication, and emotional responses, you can approach future relationships with greater awareness and healthier patterns, using failure to strengthen your emotional resilience. Emotional resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks, manage stress, and adapt to challenging situations. In relationships, resilience helps us navigate through conflicts, loss, or disappointments without losing our sense of self-worth. When we encounter failure in relationships, whether it's the end of a friendship, romantic relationship, or a family conflict, we are often left feeling vulnerable and unsure. Emotional resilience enables us to learn from these experiences, regain our confidence, and continue moving forward with a healthier perspective. Building emotional resilience in relationships. Accept that setbacks are part of relationships. No relationship is perfect, and no person is without flaws. Embrace the reality that setbacks and challenges will occur, and learn to see them as part of the ebb and flow of life. Develop coping strategies, practice self-care, mindfulness, or journaling to help process difficult emotions after relationship setbacks. Seek support, build a strong support network of friends, mentors, or therapists who can help guide you through tough times. By developing emotional resilience, you become better equipped to handle failure in relationships and use it as an opportunity to grow stronger and more connected. Conclusion: embracing growth in relationships. Fear of failure can keep us from fully embracing the beauty and challenges of relationships. However, by shifting our perspective, we can view failure not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth, learning, and deeper connection. Whether we face rejection, conflict, or personal setbacks, we can approach these moments with curiosity and openness, using them to strengthen our bonds and deepen our emotional resilience. By embracing vulnerability, reflection, and the lessons of past experiences, we create a foundation for thriving relationships built on authenticity and mutual growth. The gift of failure in relationships is that it allows us to grow individually and together, leading to deeper, more meaningful connections with those we care about most. Chapter 14. Failure in Career and Business. Failure in our careers and businesses can feel like one of the most daunting forms of failure. After all, our work is not just about earning a living, it's often intertwined with our identity, self-worth, and aspirations. Whether it's a missed promotion, a failed project, or an entrepreneurial venture that doesn't pan out, these setbacks can evoke feelings of shame, frustration, and even fear of future failure. However, in the context of career and business, failure is not just inevitable, it's often essential for growth and success. This chapter explores how to approach failure in professional settings, how to navigate career and business setbacks, and how to turn professional missteps into powerful stepping stones for future success. Navigating workplace challenges and entrepreneurship risks. In the professional world, there are countless opportunities for failure. Whether it's a misunderstanding with a colleague, a leadership misstep, or a failed business venture, setbacks are part of the journey. However, the key is how we interpret and respond to these failures. Workplace failures, common challenges. In any workplace, failure can take many forms: missed deadlines, perhaps a project isn't completed on time, or you were unable to deliver on an important promise. Conflict with coworkers, differences in opinion or communication issues can lead to tension, mistakes, or even broken professional relationships. Underperformance, failing to meet expectations in your role, can lead to frustration, self-doubt, or even a diminished reputation. In each of these scenarios, the challenge is to reframe the failure, learn from it, and grow rather than allowing it to define your professional capabilities. Rather than seeing these setbacks as a reflection of personal incompetence, you can view them as opportunities to develop better strategies, communication skills, or leadership abilities. Entrepreneurial setbacks. For entrepreneurs, failure can be a constant companion. Starting a business involves taking risks, making decisions with incomplete information, and learning through trial and error. Many successful entrepreneurs have faced multiple failures before finding success, and their journeys often involve numerous failed products, unsuccessful marketing campaigns, or investments that didn't pay off. Financial setbacks, losing money in an investment, business, or failed product launch. Market misjudgments, not understanding the market's true needs or failing to connect with the target audience. Team challenges, having trouble building or maintaining the right team, or facing internal conflict. Entrepreneurs who thrive are those who see failure as part of the process rather than something to fear or avoid. The path to success is rarely linear, and learning how to fail strategically is key. Each setback can teach valuable lessons about what doesn't work, allowing you to make informed decisions moving forward. Turning professional missteps into stepping stones. No one is immune to failure in the workplace or business. However, successful people know how to turn those setbacks into powerful catalysts for growth. Here's how to do that. 1. Analyze, don't internalize. When faced with failure in a career or business, it's easy to fall into the trap of self-criticism, questioning your abilities or worth. Instead, take a step back and analyze the situation objectively. What went wrong? What could you have done differently? What were the external factors at play, e.g. timing, market conditions, resources? Were there any signs or red flags you missed? By removing emotional judgment from the equation and focusing on the facts, you gain clarity and understanding, which will help you make better decisions in the future. This analysis allows you to separate your identity from the failure and see it as a learning opportunity rather than a permanent reflection of your capabilities. 2. Build resilience through small wins. A key to overcoming professional failures is building resilience through small wins. After experiencing a setback, take the time to set new, smaller, and more manageable goals that will allow you to regain your confidence. If you failed to meet a big deadline, focus on successfully completing smaller tasks to build momentum. If a business venture failed, start a side project or pivot with a new idea and experiment with smaller-scale projects. These small wins help you rebuild your belief in yourself and provide proof that you are capable of bouncing back. 3. Embrace the growth mindset. The growth mindset is the belief that intelligence and abilities can be developed through hard work, dedication, and perseverance. This mindset encourages you to see failure not as an endpoint but as a part of the learning process. When a business initiative fails, ask yourself, what lessons can I take from this? How can I adjust my approach for next time? When facing a challenge at work, consider, what new skills can I acquire or what new strategies can I develop to improve my performance? By constantly looking for opportunities to learn and improve, you reframe failure as part of the journey rather than something to avoid or fear. 4. Seek feedback and support. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback, whether from a colleague, a mentor, or a business advisor. Getting an outside perspective can help you see your mistakes more clearly and gain insights on how to avoid similar pitfalls in the future. In the workplace, ask for feedback after a project, performance review, or team interaction. As an entrepreneur, seek advice from peers, advisors, or industry experts who can provide constructive criticism. Embracing feedback helps you grow faster and avoid the same mistakes. It also demonstrates to others that you are open to learning, which can enhance your reputation and strengthen professional relationships. Shifting the narrative, failure as a stepping stone to innovation. Innovation, at its core, is about experimenting, testing, and learning from failure. Every successful business or career breakthrough often follows a path of trial and error. Think of the world's most innovative companies, many of them are built on a foundation of failed ideas or iterations that led to success. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. He didn't view each attempt as a failure, but as an opportunity to learn what didn't work. Apple's early struggles with the Apple Newton, a failed PDA, eventually led to their breakthrough with the iPhone, which changed the world. The key to innovation is to adopt a mindset where failure is an essential part of the process. Every failed attempt is a valuable experiment that provides insights into what works, what doesn't, and what could be possible if you try again. Embracing failing faster. In business, there is a concept called failing faster, which means that the quicker you identify what doesn't work, the sooner you can pivot and find something that does. Rather than holding on to a failing idea out of fear, let go early, learn quickly, and move forward with renewed insights. Adopting this approach can lead to breakthroughs and new opportunities, even in the face of repeated failures. Conclusion: success built on failure. Failure in your career or business is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. Every setback is an opportunity for growth, learning, and reinvention. By analyzing your failures, seeking feedback, embracing resilience, and maintaining a growth mindset, you can transform professional missteps into powerful stepping stones towards success. Remember, success isn't a straight line. It's a series of peaks and valleys, each one helping you get closer to your goals. The key is to see failure not as a roadblock, but as a necessary part of the journey that will ultimately lead to greater achievements. By failing forward, you'll develop the resilience and wisdom necessary to thrive in both your career and business endeavors. Chapter 15. The Ripple Effect of Courage. In life, courage is contagious. When one person chooses to embrace failure and take risks, it can create a ripple effect that inspires others to do the same. The process of overcoming failure doesn't just shape our own success, it can also influence those around us, creating an environment where growth and resilience are valued over perfection. This chapter explores how embracing failure courageously can inspire others, transform our communities, and foster a culture of growth in teams, families, and beyond. Inspiring others by embracing failure openly. One of the greatest gifts we can give to those around us is the example of our own courage in the face of failure. When we openly acknowledge our setbacks and show how we bounce back, we normalize failure as a part of the human experience rather than something to be ashamed of. In doing so, we offer others permission to take risks, fail, and keep going. 1. Leading by example. Whether you're a leader in the workplace, a mentor in your community, or a parent or friend, your actions speak volumes. People are more likely to take risks themselves when they see others doing the same, especially if those people are willing to fail and learn from their mistakes. By being open about your own struggles with failure, you can set a powerful example. For instance, if a manager or entrepreneur is transparent about the challenges they've faced in their career and the lessons they've learned, it opens up a space for employees or peers to do the same. When leaders show vulnerability, they foster trust and a culture of growth, where mistakes are seen as opportunities rather than liabilities. 2. Sharing failures to create a learning environment. Many times, we avoid discussing our failures because we believe that people will think less of us. However, when we open up about our mistakes, we signal that we're all on a journey of learning, and that failure is not something to hide. In a work setting, sharing your failures can spark valuable discussions that lead to solutions, improvements, and creative breakthroughs. In a family or community context, revealing setbacks can help normalize struggles and encourage others to ask for help or share their own challenges. In friendships, being honest about failure can deepen bonds and show others that it's okay to be imperfect. This transparency not only strengthens relationships but also nurtures a collaborative environment where collective growth is valued over individual success. Creating a culture of growth in teams, families, and communities. Failing forward doesn't just impact individuals, it has the power to transform entire teams, families, and communities. When people learn that failure is an opportunity for growth, they stop fearing it, and instead, they embrace it as a natural part of the process. This shift in perspective can lead to stronger teams, deeper relationships, and more resilient communities. 1. Building resilient teams. Teams that embrace failure tend to be more innovative, adaptable, and creative. In workplaces where failure is seen as a valuable part of the learning process, people are more willing to take on challenges and explore new ideas without the fear of making mistakes. Fostering psychological safety. Creating an environment where team members feel safe to fail without being judged or penalized is essential. This safety allows employees to experiment, voice their opinions, and push boundaries. Learning from failure. In high-functioning teams, members analyze what went wrong and use those lessons to improve the next time. Failure becomes a tool for continuous improvement rather than a reason for embarrassment. Celebrating risk-taking. Encouraging team members to take calculated risks without fear of failure is key to innovation. Teams that embrace challenges will grow and evolve faster than those that avoid failure at all costs. 2. Nurturing growth in families. Families, too, can benefit from embracing failure openly. When children, parents, or relatives witness others embracing mistakes and learning from them, they feel empowered to take risks without the fear of disappointing others. Role modeling resilience. Parents who model how to handle setbacks with grace teach their children valuable life skills. Children who see their parents fail, try again, and persevere will develop a healthier relationship with failure themselves. Cultivating emotional intelligence. Families that encourage open conversations about emotions and setbacks can help members develop emotional resilience. When family members aren't afraid to talk about their failures, they create a safe space for vulnerability and personal growth. 3. Strengthening communities through shared struggles. A community that embraces failure is one that thrives on collective growth. Whether it's a neighborhood group, a church, a support network, or an online community, creating a culture where people are encouraged to fail and learn can have a profound impact. Encouraging shared experiences. Community members who share their failures and challenges can build solidarity. When people talk openly about their struggles, they often find they are not alone, leading to stronger bonds and a sense of unity. Providing mutual support. Communities that fail forward together are also more likely to offer each other support in times of need. Whether it's emotional, practical, or financial, a failure-resilient community is one where members lean on each other, celebrate each other's growth, and lift each other up during difficult times. The long-term impact of embracing failure. The ripple effect of embracing failure courageously is far-reaching. When you model resilience in the face of failure, you help not only yourself but those around you develop the confidence and strength to embrace their own setbacks. This creates an environment where people are willing to take risks, innovate, and grow. Over time, this culture of growth spreads beyond the immediate circle. Whether at work, at home, or in the community, others observe how you respond to failure and begin to adopt the same mindset. The more people embrace failure as a natural part of life, the less power fear holds over them. Instead of avoiding failure, they actively seek out opportunities to fail forward, knowing that each setback is simply a stepping stone towards success. The power of collective courage. As you continue on your journey of embracing failure, remember that your courage can ignite change in others. By showing up authentically and failing with purpose, you create a ripple effect that has the potential to transform entire teams, families, and communities. The key is to lead with vulnerability, share your failures openly, and inspire others to do the same. When we all start to view failure not as an endpoint but as a part of the process, we begin to foster a culture that celebrates growth, resilience, and continuous learning. In doing so, we create environments that empower everyone to embrace their mistakes, learn from them, and move forward with renewed strength and determination. Conclusion: empowering others through courage. The ripple effect of courage can change not just your life, but the lives of those around you. By embracing failure and demonstrating resilience, you pave the way for others to do the same. As you foster a culture of growth in your teams, your family, and your community, you create a powerful force for change that spreads far beyond your immediate circle. In the end, embracing failure is not just about overcoming our own fear, it's about empowering others to rise above theirs, transforming fear into fuel for success on a much larger scale. Chapter 16. Your Fail-Forward Roadmap. Reframing failure is not a one-time event, it's a lifelong process. In this chapter, we will take all the lessons you've learned throughout this book and consolidate them into a personalized, actionable roadmap for transforming fear into fuel for success. You will develop a clear plan for facing setbacks, embracing failure, and continuing your journey of growth with resilience and purpose. This roadmap will be your guide as you navigate the inevitable challenges ahead. It is not just about managing failure, it's about harnessing it as a tool for creating a more fulfilling and successful life. Step 1. Revisit your relationship with failure. The first step on your fail-forward roadmap is to revisit your relationship with failure. Acknowledge the beliefs and stories you've held about failure in the past, and then challenge them. Reflect on your fear, write down the fears and anxieties that have held you back from taking risks. Are these fears grounded in reality, or are they based on limiting beliefs and societal conditioning? Identify your patterns, What patterns of behavior do you notice when faced with failure? Do you procrastinate, become paralyzed by perfectionism, or avoid risk altogether? Recognize these patterns as signals for areas where growth is possible. Shift your mindset. Now, consciously work to shift from a fixed mindset, where failure feels like a personal setback, to a growth mindset, where each failure is seen as a learning opportunity. This shift in perspective will be foundational in your roadmap, as it sets the tone for how you approach future challenges. Step 2. Embrace the power of self-compassion. One of the most important tools you will need to navigate the fear of failure is self-compassion. Cultivating kindness toward yourself is essential in reducing the harsh judgment that often accompanies setbacks. Acknowledge your humanity, accept that failure is a natural part of life. No one is immune to it. In fact, our greatest growth often comes from our biggest setbacks. Practice self-kindness. Whenever you face failure or a challenging moment, consciously choose to treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer to a friend. Develop a self-compassion ritual. Create a small ritual for moments when you fail or make mistakes. This could be as simple as taking a few deep breaths, repeating a positive affirmation, or writing down what you've learned. By making self-compassion a practice, you create a strong inner foundation that supports you in taking risks and overcoming setbacks without being defeated by them. Step 3. Define your fail-forward goals. Now that you've challenged your fears and developed greater self-compassion, it's time to set your goals using the fail-forward framework. Set long-term goals with flexibility. Begin with the big picture in mind. What is your ultimate vision for your life or career? But, more importantly, allow room for flexibility. Understand that the path to success is rarely linear. Break down goals into smaller, achievable steps. Big goals can seem overwhelming, especially when you're afraid of failure. Break them down into manageable steps that allow for experimentation and adjustment. Embrace incremental growth. Focus on small wins and progress rather than perfection. Remember, the journey is just as important as the destination, and growth is built through continuous, incremental steps. Use these goals as a compass to guide you forward, with the understanding that failure is part of the process, not a detour. Step 4. Develop a resilience toolkit. Resilience is a skill, and like any skill, it can be built and strengthened with practice. Your fail-forward roadmap includes developing a toolkit of habits and strategies to help you bounce back from failure faster and more effectively. Mindfulness and stress management. Develop a practice of mindfulness, such as meditation or deep breathing exercises, to help you remain grounded in times of stress or disappointment. Journaling for reflection. Journaling can be a powerful tool for processing failure. Write down your thoughts and feelings after experiencing a setback, then focus on identifying lessons and areas of growth. Physical activity for emotional resilience. Regular physical exercise can help release stress, improve mood, and increase mental resilience. Make it a part of your daily routine to keep your body and mind strong. Seek support from others. Resilience doesn't mean going it alone. Build a support system of friends, mentors, or colleagues who can encourage you, provide feedback, and remind you that failure is just one step on the path to success. By building a solid foundation of resilience, you'll be better equipped to face challenges head-on and continue moving forward with confidence. Step 5. Take calculated risks and experiment. One of the key principles of failing forward is taking risks with a mindset of experimentation. You will never fully eliminate the fear of failure, but you can reduce it by treating each challenge as an experiment, a chance to learn, not a test of your worth. Assess risks rationally. When faced with a decision, take time to evaluate the potential risks and rewards. What's the worst-case scenario, and how can you minimize potential damage? Embrace small experiments. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment, start with small, low-risk experiments. Test new ideas or approaches, measure the results, and adjust as needed. Celebrate small failures. View every failure as valuable data. Ask yourself, what worked? What didn't? What can I do differently next time? Embrace the failures, because they bring you closer to success. This mindset of experimentation will make failure feel less threatening and more like a necessary part of the creative process. Step 6. Reflect and adjust your course regularly. As you continue your journey, it's important to regularly reflect on your progress and adjust your course when necessary. Failure is not just a one-time event but a continuous learning process. Review your progress periodically, set aside time each month or quarter to reflect on what you've accomplished. Look at both successes and failures through the lens of growth, not judgment. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Take time to recognize the growth you've experienced. Even if you didn't achieve your exact goals, look at how far you've come. Make adjustments based on feedback. Use the feedback from your experiments and challenges to make informed adjustments. If something isn't working, tweak your approach and try again. This continual process of reflection and adjustment ensures that you are always learning, growing, and moving forward. Conclusion: the lifelong journey of reframing failure. Your fail-forward roadmap is not a destination, it's a continuous journey. Every step, every failure, and every lesson learned is part of a larger process of growth. Embrace this journey with an open heart and mind, and trust that each setback is simply a step toward your greater success. Remember, failure is not the end. It is an essential part of the journey, one that allows you to refine, grow, and ultimately achieve more than you ever thought possible. Keep failing forward. The best is yet to come. Chapter 17. The gift of failure. Failure. It's a word that carries weight. It evokes discomfort, fear, and often shame. Yet, as we have explored throughout this book, failure is not something to be avoided or feared. It is something to be embraced, reframed, and ultimately seen as a gift. In this final chapter, we reflect on the transformative power of failure, why it is such a powerful tool for growth, and how you can cultivate an attitude of gratitude for the lessons it brings. Your journey to becoming failure resilient doesn't end here. It continues as you develop a deeper understanding of what failure can offer you, and how you can rewrite your story from the perspective of growth, courage, and wisdom. The transformation, from pain to power. The experience of failure often feels like a punch to the gut. It can trigger self-doubt, feelings of inadequacy, and fear about what others may think. But these negative feelings, while painful, are part of the process of transformation. Every failure is an opportunity to reshape the narrative of who we are and how we see our potential. When we view failure as a gift, we begin to recognize that it holds hidden treasures. These treasures are the lessons, insights, and growth that come from failure. The moment you stop seeing failure as a reflection of your worth and start viewing it as a necessary step in your growth journey, everything changes. Failure teaches us resilience. It teaches us to bounce back after setbacks, to rise stronger than before. Failure builds character. It reveals our true strengths, values, and ability to adapt. Failure fuels creativity. It pushes us to think outside the box, innovate, and approach challenges with fresh perspectives. Failure teaches humility. It keeps us grounded, reminding us that success isn't linear and that setbacks are part of being human. The power of failure lies not in the pain it causes, but in the personal and professional growth that comes after we allow ourselves to learn from it. As you reflect on your own experiences with failure, begin to see them as pivotal moments in your development, where you learned, adjusted, and became stronger. Gratitude for the lessons learned. Gratitude is a powerful tool for reframing failure. When we express gratitude for the lessons failure brings, we shift our mindset from a victim of circumstances to an empowered individual who takes ownership of their growth. We stop seeing failure as something that happens to us, and start seeing it as something that happens for us. Take a moment to reflect on your past failures. In what ways did they teach you valuable lessons? Did they help you discover new strengths or skills? Did they point you toward new directions or opportunities? Here are some questions to guide your reflection. What did I learn from this failure that I didn't know before? How did this failure push me out of my comfort zone and allow me to grow? What new opportunities did this failure open up for me? How has this failure shaped who I am today, for the better? By acknowledging the lessons learned, you begin to see that failure is not an endpoint. It is a stepping stone to a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. When you embrace failure with gratitude, it stops being something to fear and becomes something to cherish. Rewriting your story with courage and conviction. The stories we tell ourselves about failure shape how we move forward in life. If we constantly tell ourselves that failure is something to be ashamed of or avoided, we close ourselves off from the potential growth it offers. But when we rewrite our story to include failure as a tool for success, we open ourselves to limitless possibilities. Rewriting your story doesn't mean glossing over your failures or pretending they didn't hurt. It means seeing them for what they truly are, opportunities for growth, learning, and transformation. Your failures do not define you, they refine you. And by embracing this mindset, you become the author of your own success. To begin rewriting your story, try the following exercises. Reframe a past failure. Choose a failure from your past and rewrite the narrative. Instead of seeing it as a setback, describe how it led to a breakthrough, a new understanding, or a different path that you might not have taken otherwise. Create a new vision for failure. Visualize a future where you actively embrace failure as a tool for learning and growth. Picture yourself stepping into challenges, knowing that failure will be part of the process, but will never deter you from moving forward. See yourself bouncing back stronger and more confident each time. Write a letter to your future self. In this letter, express your gratitude for the lessons failure has taught you. Acknowledge how far you've come and how failure has shaped you into the resilient, empowered person you are today. By rewriting your story with courage and conviction, you take full ownership of your journey. You embrace failure as a necessary ingredient in your success, and you build a new, empowered narrative for yourself that reflects your resilience, strength, and potential. Embracing the gift of failure in your everyday life. As you move forward, remember that failure is an ongoing part of life. It doesn't disappear once you learn how to deal with it, rather, it becomes a familiar companion along your path. The more you embrace it, the more natural it will feel to face challenges head-on without fear of what might go wrong. In fact, you'll begin to look forward to the growth that failure brings. In your personal life, in your career, and in your relationships, embrace the opportunities to fail. When you fail, let it be a reminder that you are taking risks, pushing boundaries, and striving for something greater. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the closer you get to achieving your goals. In relationships, accept that conflict, mistakes, and missteps are part of the process of deepening connections. Failure in relationships can teach us how to communicate better, be more empathetic, and build stronger, more resilient bonds. In career, failure in the workplace, whether it's a missed opportunity or a project that didn't go as planned, is a chance to learn and grow professionally. It's a chance to innovate, to come up with better solutions, and to take on bigger challenges. In personal growth, every time you step out of your comfort zone and face failure, you build a stronger sense of self. The more you fail and grow from it, the more confident you become in your ability to navigate life's challenges. Conclusion: a life lived fully embraces failure. The journey of reframing failure is not a destination but a lifelong practice. It is a commitment to growth, resilience, and the courage to embrace each setback as a stepping stone on the way to greater success. Failure is a gift, not a punishment. It is an essential part of your story, and without it, you would not be able to achieve your fullest potential. As you continue to embrace the gift of failure, remember that each failure brings you closer to your goals. Each failure is a chance to grow, to learn, and to transform. And when you approach failure with gratitude, you will find that it no longer holds power over you. Instead, it becomes the fuel that propels you forward, driving you toward the person you are meant to become. So, go forward with courage. Embrace failure, be grateful for its lessons, and trust in the process of growth. Your best self is waiting for you on the other side of every failure. And that, ultimately, is the gift of failure.